Ladies and gentlemen, if you can see my face, if you can hear my voice, then that means you have made it back for another episode of FirePitt. My name is Megan Pennington, and with me, as always, is my best friend Jim Skiff. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing just great, Megan. I'm keeping warm. I hope you are too. I know you were out on the road. You had an open mic tonight, and or last night actually. Now you're dealing with the snow. I'm really glad to see your smiling face. Glad that we could be together again in this way.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. We did the open mic night at Sing Sing Sing. It was the second ever that we've done. It's a really cool opportunity. I'm going to take a moment to plug it real quick. It's an open mic night over at the school that I teach at, and the idea is to get the independent music scene of Pittsburgh to come down to play in front of the students that we have, because there's a lot of our students that are aspiring to do what we do. So I want them to see kind of what they have to look up to and to look forward to. And in reverse, I kind of want the local music scene to kind of see what the youth is bringing up into the scene, the fresh new sounds, and do all the networking things with the kids before they can go into the smoky bars and whatnot. So it was a good time. We had about 8 singers from all different genres and performance types. A couple guitar players. Tyler Feathers played a few with us as well. So we had fun. Yeah. Absolutely. But not as much fun as we are going to have tonight, because I think we have a very special guest and a returning guest, if I'm not mistaken. Jim, tell me about it.
Absolutely, Megan. We have TK Mundok from Dream the Heavy with us this evening. A little bit about the band. Atmospheric keys with ethereal and hook-laden guitars set the tone for an enigmatic and soulful voice to sing, wail, and carry you into the other realms. The rhythm section both grounds you to the earth while shaking you from the roots with dense grooves you can move your feet to. This Pittsburgh-based band has been shaking up the local scene with its catchy songs and powerful live performances since 2022, when they made their debut at Mr. Small's. Their lineup consists of TK Mundok on vocals, Ryan Miller keys, guitars are Matthias Brown, Sully on drums plays percussion, and bass is handled by Paul Dean Price III. Dream the Heavy released 2 singles in 2023 and an album of 8 tracks in 2024, Into the Unknown. And this album was actually voted the best local album of the year in 2024 by readers of the City Paper, and might I say, deservedly so. And I also wanted to mention, I saw There You Go, their very first video recently came out by Shell Shock Media, our buddy Ryan Dowden. And it's an awesome video. And I want to know, who's the dancer, TK? Who is that? Besides you, of course. I mean, you got some great moves, my friend. But who else is in that video with you?
Thank you, my friend. Hi, everybody. Hi, ScarFire. Hi, Megan. Good to be with you. Jim, real pleasure to finally get to talk to you like this, man. Really great. That is Madame Trio. She is a Pittsburgh legend now, not only as a dancer, she teaches as well. So if you like those moves, I know you can find her through Red Fishbowl, but she's also an amazing DJ up on the Pittsburgh scene as well. Madame Trio. She's brilliant and a beautiful human being, inside and out, just a beautiful person. Style for miles, baby. And when Ryan Dowden from Shell Shock said that he would like to do our music video for us, and he had the concept. He had several concepts he was throwing out there, and the one that we were very interested in was that of shadows, playing with shadows. And I love the concept of shadow and doing shadow work. Of course, if you know about touching into the underlying aspects of all of us, and bringing that forward and healing it, through dance and movement and the arts, and so when we chose that one, and he was saying, it was us moving, and he wanted a dancer. She is the first person that came to mind that I knew can bring a raw energy about it. The way she connects is is completely well, it's unique in a way that when you see her move, you know that she is not imitating anybody else. She has been inspired and she's emoting purely. And I knew it had to be her. I knew it. I'm so glad she was available and agreed to do it. So I'm glad you picked up on that, Jim. Yeah, Madam
Oh yeah,
Trio.
it's an awesome video and a great album. Why don't you talk
Thank
to
you,
us a
brother.
little bit about the band, how you guys first got together, and it's a pretty new thing. I feel like you kind of rose from the ashes of a number of other different bands, kind of like a phoenix. What's the story, TK?
What's the story, Morning Glory? We've talked about this on a lot of different podcasts, so I'm not going to use up all of our time on it, except to say that we are all living in Pittsburgh. We all come from our own long journeys from inside the state and outside the state. Matthias is from Vermont. Paul Dean Price is from Oakland, California. Sully, I always joke, is from parts unknown. But Atlanta, a lot of Atlanta. I'm a Pennsylvanian, but I've lived in other places as well. But our latest member, Ryan Miller, is a Pittsburgh native. When something, please listen to other podcasts with us on it so you can get really like the play-by-play action of how Paul reached out to me. We met picking up our kids, at the school. When you're on your journey, if you know anything about Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find your fellowship. You know what I mean? They're going to reach out to you. And when people offer you something like that is unique, don't poo-poo it away. Take up the hero's quest and align yourself with it. At least give it a try. You'll grow a little bit. And it really came into my life at a perfect time. I had a very successful long run with another band that I started, Black Cat Moan, blues based. And it's really how I cut my teeth on as far as being a performer and being in live music. And we were in the International Blues Challenge in 2016. We had a chance to open up. We opened up for Buddy Guy, the last living blues legend, as far as I'm concerned, the one who shook and hugged, Muddy Waters and everyone from Chess Records, who I adore. And it was just that time where that band wasn't able to play the city as much as we were being offered. We'd done some really great stuff around here, Mova Music Festival. And when those opportunities were being given to me, I was like, I was the only one that from Black Cat Moon that lived in Pittsburgh. The band was spread out over Pennsylvania. The rhythm section is Central PA, State College, and St. George, if you're listening out there, one of the most brilliant guitarists. He lives in Johnstown. Just a brilliant man. But anyway, these offers were coming, and we're coming, and we couldn't commit to them. And so I knew I needed to play locally, and I kind of mentally put it out there. And then up steps Paul Dean Price III, and like Gandalf, and step it up, and yeah, man, I adhered to the call, and you could hear more about that. Actually, when you go back in the archives of ScarFire, I'm sure you could hear that tale.
You read my mind. I was just going to say that, yes, in fact, we did get a little bit more of a deep dive on just how the start of Dream the Heavy came to be. I did have a question. It's been,
sure, of course.
It's been a little while, probably about a year since we've really done anything.
Easily, well, yeah.
That makes me sad. Really, we should be talking to each other.
We're here now.
Yeah,
I agree, sister. You know what? I wanted to interrupt. I didn't want, but I would love to come out. I would love to come out to your open mic nights. I would love to see, either Dream the Heavy or just me get to, sing with somebody and touch the next generation. I would be honored to be asked, or I'm throwing my hat in there,
yes.
And if you'd have me, I'd be thrilled.
Anytime. It's for anybody
So right
listening,
on.
including you, my love. It is the third Sunday of every month over
Okay.
at Sing 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 in Wexford. I post everything about it on my social media. You can also find it on the Sing 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 Facebook page as well. So, yeah,
Brilliant. All
it's
right. I'll
awesome.
meet all of you there.
Yeah, yeah. I did have a question though. A lot happens in a little bit of time, as we know, as musicians. What are some of the new things that are being seen at a Dream the Heavy show or even on the streaming sites?
Mm.
What's the breath of fresh air that we have coming for us?
Well, a lot of the songs from our album were written not there's great stories about how those songs were written, and two of them on the album were written the first day that I'd ever been in the room with those guys. Like, they just happened, and both of them are on the album, Candy and Eyes of the Killer, which we'll talk about a little later. But and then through playing out, this band, they're artists. Matthias Brown always has these hooks that just like come through him. Paul Dean Price has these bass licks. Sully has these hooks, and now we have Ryan Miller. I shouldn't say just like now; he's been with us for a hot minute. At the end of our first year, actually, when we recorded at Club Cafe, it was at the end of our first year. We did a live album just to grab something, and thank goodness it was at Club Cafe. And that was the first performance with our keyboard player. He had practiced with us maybe a couple times, and now he's writing with us, so he has these hooks that come in. So then we have a ton of material. I would say 90% of it hopefully will see the light of day. But the stuff that we do push forward with is because we can't get it out of our minds. And so when you come see a live show, you'll hear a lot of new music, not just the stuff that's on the album, done, in a really celebratory way, but new stuff that we try out. And that's the great thing about live music is when you go and see an artist, you're tapping into their process. You know what I mean? And you get to experience the journey, and you have to realize they're growing, and you can't really hold them to the songs that you love and keep them stagnant. They'll always share the stuff that you love and that they love, but be open for their new material, for them to grow and for them to remain. An artist is to remain a creative soul and then to share it. Because we all know that when things become stagnant, that's death. You don't drink from a stream that's not moving. Still water is plagued. When a tree dies, it's because water isn't flowing through it anymore. It becomes brittle and it's broken. So gotta allow people to grow and change and allow things to come through them. And so there's a lot of great material. And we were slated to start recording again. We were trying to rush it and record it because Matthias Brown is actually on a sojourn for the next 6 months. In South America. And so we have a great guitarist that's going to be performing with us. Our next show is February 15th at Poetry Lounge in Millville, which is an amazing, I can't call it a new location, but it's under new ownership under the amazing, brilliant individual, Sean Enright. If you in the Pittsburgh scene know, then you know, and there you go. So Brenner is his name, and he's our hired gun playmate for the next 6 months. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, so you'll hear a lot of this. We're gonna be playing more of the hits in these shows coming up for the next 6 months. We are going to throw in one or two of the new ones, and then we're going to come back full force. So we do have a lot of, and then we'll be recording. My point was, when Matthias returns from his sojourn, we are hitting the studio immediately. I think we're going to release some recordings that we did here in the home studio in our practice space, because we have it all mic'd up. We might be releasing little gems here and there. If you go to our Bandcamp, it's probably where we're going to do that, to keep everybody as interested as we are. And as we miss Matthias and praise him on his journey, the more we miss him, the more we're probably going to share memories with him. I don't know if I answered that or not.
Well, TK, I just wanted to refer back to a couple of things you said earlier. I think the Joseph Campbell quote
Mm,
is, "When you follow your bliss, unseen hands will help you."
there it
And
is.
I detect a serious strain of mysticism running through your lyrics and your whole kind of over, and also, the Buddy Guy influence. I the last time I was up at Moondogs, I actually touched Buddy Guy's guitar. He had autographed it. It's up on the wall up
Yes.
there. And I was like, man, I got to touch that guitar. Maybe I can
Yes.
catch a little bit of lightning from him. And you guys have certainly caught some serious lightning. And I wonder if you would mind talking to us a little bit about the first track that we're going to listen to this evening, Eye of a Killer. Um, and I
Yes.
know you had confided in me that it was based on some artwork that you had seen at the Brooklyn Museum. And I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit for our listeners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had, and thank you, by the way, and a shout out to Johnny Moondog Esser, because it was a phone call from him that gave us the opportunity to open for Buddy Guy. He's Moondogs. So Eyes of a Killer. I had mentioned earlier that there were two songs that were written the first day that I was invited to meet Sully, Paul, and Matthias in their studio that they were rehearsing in. And everything was, the room was being recorded. And that day there were the potential of 9 songs that were written. And 2 of them were Candy, that was based off, I was coming from the blues still, you know what I mean? As far as, that. So I asked for a Bo Diddley beat. And if you listen to Candy, you'll hear a little nod to Bo Diddley in the beat. Um, and even in the cadence of the lyrics is very, a nod to Bo Diddley and Buddy Holly. But the other song that was written is Eyes of a Killer. And the way it happens is a jam begins, somebody throws something into the room, and if somebody feels that spark of that lightning and it touches, you feel it and you hear it, how every instrument just aligns with that resonance almost immediately. I'll, as a vocalist, my instrument is my throat chakra, and I'll start making sounds, vocals, like cadences. I'll find my melody, but I'm not really picking a word, because you could really get hung up on trying to tell a story immediately when you're just trying to be another instrument, almost like a wind instrument. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't throw anybody else off. But there are certain vowels and whatnot that come through, and eventually we're going to release it. We did have it up on our Bandcamp, that original recording, and the structure of Eyes of a Killer is exactly the way it came through, that we aligned with it from the conduit. Like I swear that song was already written, and we just kind of just became the radio station. We just tuned in to the right station, the right frequency, and it just came through us. And it, when we release it, it'll blow your mind, because it is the exact same structure. It's the exact same structure. And so I did go home, and listening to the vowels and sounds and consonants, I started writing to it. And at the end was that Kali calling. That's very similar. That's what it sounded like to me. So I started going, into, even, pulling up different studies about Kali, so that I had it in front of me and I could pull certain things. And in my research, I didn't see the show, because the show was from the 70s. An artist by the last name, I think her last name is Chicago. And it was an art installation of Dinner with Kali. So the plates, and the tapestry on the table and everything was this you are consuming your past, you're consuming all of your egos and releasing it. If you know anything about Kali, she is the the goddess of death and life at the same time. Because in order for something new to walk into your life, you have to kill who you were yesterday. And I know it sounds very violent, and when you look at her, it's very violent. The blood on her tongue, the eyes that are just like focused on the future, this prey. She's focused on her prey, on eliminating everything that doesn't exist, to kill the egos. And she's wearing heads, and in her left hand, swinging left and low, is the severed head of her latest ego, the latest victim of being trapped, in the mortal coil of all the duality BS that we're experiencing more than ever right now. As we are, today is January 19th. It's being recorded anyway. Tomorrow's the 20th. We all know about the duality that's about to happen tomorrow, and all the fights that are about to break out because we can't kill our ego. And we don't know our connection to the planet anymore. And I think Kali, symbolizes that. So that is that dinner with Kali. So it's, look at me, dreaming the Maya, come to dinner, transcend time. Look, just look 1, 2, 3, 4. That's her arms. Just look 4 more. Often she's depicted even with 8 arms. So it's like 4 more. Look to me, 4 more, but it's 4 more arms at the same time, just growth and expansion, law of doubling. And it's killing your past, killing the Maya, and being rebirth. We talked about phoenixes, and that's Kali. And every religion, every society talks about the energy in us to sever ourselves from yesterday, consume it so it's a part of our growth, and move forward. And a little known fact, the Rolling Stones album cover, or that their symbol, the mouth with the tongue sticking out, is a direct reference because Mick Jagger wanted the power of that image of Kali. And it's not his mouth, it is actually the mouth of Kali.
Interesting. And that's a bit of trivia I was not privy to, and I really appreciate that. And yes. I know Kali drinks the blood of demons, and her thirst is insatiable.
Yes.
And I'm starting to thirst a little bit for some of this Dream the Heavy music that we've been talking about. What do you think, Megan?
Nice.
Time to spin one of those?
I think it is a perfect time to spin Eyes of a Killer. So let's go ahead and do it, y'all.
Swinging left and low into the nightfall, the heads of the egos in our
The country music world has hit a snooze button, and fans are growing a little weary. But fear not, because one artist is ready to shake things up. Enter Dan Sliker with his album, Sellouts and Train Tracks. This album is a joyride through the ever-changing landscape of country music. Packed with a delightful dose of humor and good vibes, it dives deep into what Dan believes the genre should truly embody. With Sellouts and Train Tracks, Dan isn't just serving up tunes, he's capturing a moment. He mixes laughter with introspection and shouts out to everyone wanting to steer country music back to its heartfelt storytelling roots. It's a musical mashup you won't want to miss. So don't let this chance slip by. Tune into the Country Music Revival by streaming Sellouts and Train Tracks by Dan Sliker today. Available on all your favorite streaming platforms. There you have it, folks. That was Eyes of a Killer by Dream the Heavy. We're hanging out, having the best time ever. Jim is the man with all the questions. So what you got for us, baby?
Well, that sounded so sweet, TK. I'd love to know where you recorded that, and give us a little insight into the recording process that you guys go through.
Absolutely. I love the recording process personally. I think it's because being a painter, I love the knowing that what you put into it, like you can really, you're gonna be able to hold on to and be in the audience for it at some point. So I love the recording process. I had mentioned that we were at the end of year one, which was the end of 2022. We threw a New Year's Eve ball, and that was at Club Cafe where we recorded. And those of you in the Pittsburgh music scene know the name Bengt Alexander. He is possibly one of like the best sound men up on the scene. And so he recorded us that evening, and during or afterwards, he asked if he could record our music in his studio, which is a huge honor because he's absolutely brilliant, like brilliant, like shine, brilliant, shine, like brilliant. And he doesn't record anybody. Like you can't ask him. He has to come to you. And so again, like maybe it's back to that, the mystic coming, and pulling somebody out, it's the hero's journey all over again. And that was Bengt Alexander, everybody. And he didn't just mix it. He engineered the whole thing, and then and worked with each one of us to get all the layers that he heard, that to accent everything. And that album has so much depth. When you listen to it with headphones or in a great car stereo, you'll hear it surround you from the 4 points, from all 4 points. All it'll draw you, all the winds. And he's brilliant like that. He just has this vision. And so he produced it as well in that aspect. The songs were rehearsed, and it was just released. We recorded it all of throughout 23 and mixed it, and we released 2 singles. The first single was Until Tomorrow. The second single was There You Go. And I believe, yes. And then, or is it opposite? No. The first single was There You Go because it was the first one mixed. And then we did Until Tomorrow. And then, and then we released Candy, and then we dropped the album, I think is how it worked out. And then, WYEP picked it up a bit. The X started playing us first, which was really gorgeous and a great nod to him as well, because I remember actually being in the studio with him and saying, there's three major radio stations here in Pittsburgh. It's WYEP, of course, where the music matters, and it's the X, and it's WDVE. And those were my goals. That was like mentally. And he was like, we'll see. Because it's Bengt Alexander. He's like, I could see it had the X. Yeah, you know, but WYP, they'll never, you're too heavy for YP. And we've been the artist of the week on there, and they played Candy, you know, and they actually sponsored the Winter Wonder Ball for us, which we throw every year, which I'll talk about if you like, or you can please go into that rabbit hole and do that. We do it every December. We did it at Mr. Small's Theater, and this time we did it at Spirit. And maybe you'll be a part of it next year for 2025. But Bengt Alexander, absolutely brilliant. He got us. Oh, and then we did a live thing for WDVE, and the song that we played was That Kind of Love. That Kind of Love is a definitely nod to my blues background. Outside of the hint of Bo Diddley in Candy, That Kind of Love was written for our first gig, which was offered to us through Ryan Dowden, who was putting together a Battle of the Bands. And it was written as an intro song. I always joke that That Kind of Love was written like a prison song, where you walk into the room and punch the biggest guy in the room to make your statement made immediately. And so that's what we opened with. And we wrote that song to have that effect. And yes, it's a nod to the blues, and not just the blues. It's a nod to British blues primarily. Of course, you can hear some Led Zeppelin influence. You know, shake, shake, shake for me, girl. I want to be your backdoor man. You know, and all of this. Yeah. Did I move too far forward too quickly into That Kind of Love?
Not at all. I would like to ask a little bit further about
sure.
your background as a painter. When
sure.
I listen to your music, it seems to me like there are so many textures. It's almost like you're painting a sonic landscape that the listener can actually kind of enter into, an alternative reality, if you will. And I think it may have something to do with your background as a painter and the way that you apply the sound to the canvas of the recording. It's just very unique. Tell us a little bit about how those two aspects intersect, if you will.
Wow, that's really great. That's good insight, Jim. It's very, you know, when you work with artists, they have an open spectrum of influence, and they're not just one cog. They're not just built from one beam of light. When you work with a real artist, they are open to everything that they've encountered. And so that's the layers that you're hearing. That's when you can, you know, you're saying that it has all the, you know, it's a visual landscape. And so I have to stress again that in this band, I'm working with 4 other artists. And then for the album, I'm working with, like, he's like the Brian Eno of Pittsburgh. If you know who Brian Eno is, like, he worked with Bowie, and you know, and that is the landscape. He worked with everybody, you know, of course, U2, you know, those are my 2 favorite as far as that he worked with. But he's brilliant. And I think I really do just have to give this to what Bengt felt, BNGT, Bengt Alexander, what he heard and maybe what he saw when he watched us perform, that he knew that he saw the depth. He was able to tap into what we have tapped into and brought into this sonic reality, you know, of this third dimension, from the fifth or whatever. And he heard everything I think that we heard, and was able to bring it out in us. And so I give all of that to my tribesmen, you know. They're all shaman unto themselves. But when you get that magic recipe together, damn, it's something special. That's why a band works. You know, it's something about being an artist unto yourself, where you're working with a singular producer. That's all well and good and fun. That's a great collaboration. But I'm really looking forward to the rise of the bands again, when people start learning to collaborate on a larger scale. And it's coming. There's always a pulse, there's always that rhythm. If you know the 7 Hermetic principles, there's a rhythm of the pulse. The pendulum swings, it opens and closes, it opens and closes. And right now, we're real tight, and everybody's seeing that duality. But I think during these next 4 years, everybody's going to realize exactly how much that doesn't get you very far when you're looking at somebody else as an opposition instead of a collaborator. And the more you collaborate with life and all the other points of life, which is you, her, them, all of us and their unique points of view, that you grow exponentially faster when you collaborate in a fellowship like that instead of a duality battle. And that's what a band is. And then when Bengt heard us or watched us live and listened to us, that's Bengt Alexander that said, I see all these levels of potential in you that we can do together to create that sonic thing for the album. But when you do hear us live, you're going to hear us as a singular voice, 5 singular voices coming together on stage. Because when you're listening to the album, there's all those layers. But when you come see us live, boy, it's a playground, and you see everybody shine as who they are. So please come and see us live as well.
It's always a pleasure to see you guys live. It's so much of a pleasure that I had tried to get you all on for a gig while you guys were taking a little bit of a break. So
yeah,
I'll have to jump on as soon as I can with you guys, because it's
please do. Thanks. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Jim,
did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely you did. Listen,
okay, cool.
Absolutely. But I do think this is a really good moment to take a listen to That Kind of Love. Jim, what do you think?
I think it's time. Let's do it.
Here it comes, folks. That Kind of Love by Dream the Heavy.
That kind of love makes me heavy. That kind of love makes me dream. stop them from following them. What did I do? What did I say? What good did I deserve to be? For the higher ground when you're in over your. Oh, I found me a woman. I don't think she loves me back. Yeah, I found me a woman. I don't think she loves me back.
That was That Kind of Love by Dream the Heavy. I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the euphoria. And before we walk you out that very snowy door, I do want to give you an opportunity to shout out any future plans, anybody you want to just say hi to, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I need to say thank you, Pittsburgh, for being one of the best playgrounds for artists. I've always felt that, not just as an audio, like a musician, but through dance, poetry, painting, of course. The Pittsburgh art scene is not a competition. It's a playground, where everybody is fascinated by something new. So you out there, come to Pittsburgh, share yourself. You know what I mean? Hey, that's what San Francisco, that's why I moved to San Francisco back in the day. It was for something that was lingering from 2 decades earlier, or several decades, 4 decades earlier. But nevertheless, that's what Pittsburgh is. So come and experience it while it's growing and blossoming. So thank you, Pittsburgh. It's good to be back. And thank you for drawing all my teammates here as well in Dream the Heavy, because they weren't born here. Well, except for Ryan Miller, of course. Anyway, on February 15th, we will be at Poetry Lounge with Old Game. They're brilliant. Please go see Old Game. They played at our CD release at Spirit. Foamer is with us that night also. Fantastic. I don't know if they've been with you or not. Of course. Yes, of course they have. But most importantly, the way this show came together is because Ryan Miller has friends that are on tour from Michigan, and it's Kat Stye and the Ferals. And so he's the reason, they're the reason why that this show is happening at Poetry. And I mentioned poetry earlier. Please do yourself a favor and come check out this joint. It is like the CBGBs right now in Pittsburgh in a way. And then between me, you, Paul, and the Wall, there's some secret shows that we're going to be playing at an amazing new space in Oakland called Haven. And Oakland is a college hub here in Pittsburgh, and it's great to finally have a great venue there again, because we used to have them. Even the venues that brought Bruce Springsteen to Pittsburgh, back in the day. And now we have the Haven. So in April, we're going to be there possibly twice. Something to reach out today. And then we got the Millville Music Festival, possibly. And, the other great stuff going on. But also, and then when Matthias returns from his sojourn in South America, we will be at the Flood City Music Festival, which I had the opportunity to play many times with Black Cat Moan. And we will be Friday night at the Flood City Music Festival, which is in my birth town of Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
So congratulations on that. That's going to be a good show for
Yeah,
sure.
It's a nice invite.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we have time to listen to one final song, and I want to say thank you so much for your time again. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And please send our love to the guys. I know we had them last time, but we didn't get this time. Send them our love and all the good wishes. We are going to end with the song Start on Fire, and I got to be honest, I'm a little partial to that name, so I'd love to hear the quick synopsis on this one before we spin it.
Super real quick. I'm really glad that you grabbed that one. When Paul was reaching out to me asking if I would possibly entertain the idea of meeting and with his two mates that he just started making music with, Matthias Brown from Vermont, who had just moved there and started playing with Paul, I think the third week of him arriving in Pittsburgh. Like, what? And Sully on drums. He sent me a bit of music from one of their jams, and I wrote these lyrics for that. It's a song called Star on Fire, and it's really about growth. It's about belief in self, which is something I think that all of us as artists struggle with on a day-to-day basis. Just, having, I definitely suffer from disbelief in potential, or it's tough to say when you have all these great ideas, as you do out there. I know you do. Just know that people are waiting for it. And even though the people in your immediate circle don't understand it, and it could confuse them, keep that pulse growing, because there's people out there waiting for it. That's the reason why you got that. It's the reason why you got it. And when you look at the words, that's what the song's about. It's about, in being that point of light, in a world of shadows, cast from light. You have to put the message out there. And because your audience is just waiting for you. It's waiting for you. So be that star.
Amen to that. It's so funny. We have these conversations and the universe aligns. I've been seeing star number 111 for the last week and a half. So
nice. There it is.
This is perfect.
Carl Jung, synchronicities. Yes, indeed.
Exactly. Well, with that, folks, we're going to leave you with nothing but positive vibes of growth and prosperity. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in for FirePitt and all things ScarFire Media. Check out the podcast network. Check out Find a Venue, the indie musicians catalog. Check out The Flame, because we've got stories from all over the world popping up there. And if you have something that you want us to promote for you, find us at scarfireradio.net. In the meantime, between time, as we walk you out the door and hopefully see you at Scarpacey's. I know it is cold, but it is very warm inside the bar. I promise. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe. Most importantly, peace and love. Here comes Star on Fire by Dream the Heavy.